All right, Sarah. So let's get down to the next question because I think this is going to really help artists differentiate some vocabulary and just give them some structure that they need, right? Because we're trying to help them advocate for themselves. And the more they know about expectations from curators on these art and public places is the key to help breaking down some of their gatekeeping that the art world seems to
hmm
have. So, as I look at my notes, we've got number one, navigating questions. So for
hmm
artists new to the public art space, what are the key steps and considerations for successfully securing public art commissions? And especially like when it's in the RFQ or the RFP stage, like can you help us with that because there's some structure differences there.
Yeah. So the second part of that question, the RFQ versus RFP. So RFQ stands for request for qualifications. And so that's essentially the first step of an open art call. It's when um, they may, like the panel that is doing the art call, they might have an idea of what they're looking for, and that hopefully will be in the call. But it's not a time necessarily for sending a proposal or a sketch. It's a time for saying, I'm interested in this, please consider me. And the way you get considered is by having a very strong portfolio to begin with, or
Mm.
a strong collection of a body of work or images that already exist, either in a portfolio you put together to submit, or a website, or social media, anywhere that you have a catalog of like work that you've done before. And then in your request for qualifications, they usually ask for some sort of a statement of interest, where you can just describe and outline why you think your work or you as an artist would be a good fit. And so that request for qualifications is really looking at who you are as an artist, the work you've done before, and how it potentially relates to this new project. So it really can be that clean and simple. Um, if they're asking for a concept sketch or a proposal, that does happen sometimes, but it's getting less common because there's been a lot of advocacy for that's work and an artist should be paid for it. So that gets to the next part, which is request for proposals, and that's typically there's a stipend attached to it, or a chance of being a finalist that would get awarded a stipend. So it's usually kind
Mm.
of the second step in the process of things. Sometimes it's used interchangeable, but that's usually the distinction is that an RFP is asking for a concept sketch, a concept statement, or even an actual proposal versus an RFQ is just looking for qualifications.
Mm.
Um, but for getting through that first hurdle, the number one step I always tell artists is have a very strong body of work that's been well documented in one place, easy to follow the thread of you've done this series or you've done this other series or this series ties to this series. But having a body of work that's clear and easily to get to, like easy for a panelist or someone interested in you to find and get to, or it's something you send them directly in a PDF package. Um,
Hmm.
but having that all put together and having it
Having it
clean
tidy.
and concise. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, uh, subsequent question on that, well documented. I think that that can be defined in so many ways. What
True.
what would, I mean, professionally documented photography, videography now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it all ways and it's been successful in all sorts of ways. Even someone just, documenting on your phone, but if you have good lighting, with a very basic, simple camera or a phone camera, take pictures of your artwork outside so it has good lighting. Outside on a cloudy day, if you can, is pretty much ideal for like a good cast of lighting. And then crop it and straighten it. It's that simple. So you want to crop it in so all you're seeing is the image of your art. If it's a 2D art, if it's a three-dimensional art, a video often can help. Like if you have a couple of shots from a couple of different angles, and then do a walk around.
Do a walk around. I mean,
So,
that the drone imagery where you can like see the space and then come in,
mhm,
that is definitely expensive, but it's very effective.
yeah.
It's effective.
So it just, the type of work you have kind of also depends on how you can best document it. But I've seen all sorts of documentation that, the artist has done themselves. You don't have to pay for
Yeah,
professional documentation to still have a very strong body of work that's clear to see, easy to follow, easy to understand who you are as an artist and what you're doing.
that's great. What do you think about the documentation of the process too, to
I
show
love
somebody
it.
like you? Okay.
I love it. If it relates, if I'm asking for proposals or artists that have done work in a 3D form, I don't necessarily want to see 18 drawings of your concept,
Okay.
or 18 drawings of like, here's me building this piece to this piece. That's great for your social media. That's great for your website to like click through a series of work in progress photos. It's interesting, especially if you're doing a public work. Sometimes the public likes to see that.
Hmm.
Um, but for like an RFQ, you're basically want to send like your top 10 most polished, beautiful finished pieces.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super great. Um, we did have another part to that question. How do you feel about this one? Do you feel like we answered it? How can artists ensure their vision aligns with community needs?
Mm.
I think that might go
Is that
into more of our
feel like that's
storytelling.
yeah, that's a deeper dive in one of our other questions, I think. There is another part of this of just if you have a written part of the proposal to be as clear and concise as possible. It's really hard for a panel that is reading through 50 to 100 submissions at a time to read a two-page story of your life and
Yeah.
why yeah. So
Yeah.
really, unless for some reason the call is asking for a longer exposition of a statement of why you're interested and what you hope to achieve from being part of the project, be concise as possible.
Love it. Be concise and be clear.
Hmm.
Be clear, like strip it down, summarize.